Bluff City Media presents Tigers Live with Francis Carlota. Join Francis after every Memphis Tiger game as he breaks down each matchup, player of the game, and upcoming games. Now, let's get to the show.
What's going on, everybody? The biggest win of Penny Hardaway's era as the head coach of the University of Memphis. The Memphis Tigers just took down number 2 UConn 99-97 in overtime. Let's go, Kenny.
Tigers. Tigers. Let's go, baby.
Let's go, Kenny. What a win. We have so much to talk about. So much to discuss. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here on Tigers Live. I am Francis Carlotta, joined by Kenny Stubblefield. We will be joined by Tigers beat writer Roman Cleary in just a moment as well. But my goodness.
I don't like what you're. I've been looking at my heart rate monitor on my watch. Like, where are you at right now, bro?
Dude, if I had to guess, I'm probably 40 beats per minute above resting. If I had to guess,
exactly.
I'm somewhere at an unhealthy level. I'll put it there.
It's not good, man. Like, it's not a good spot where my heart is right now. What a freaking game, dude! What a game! Wow.
I don't know where to start. I'll start with this. The response in overtime.
Yes.
Response in overtime after that incredible comeback from UConn.
Oh yeah, dude. Come on, man.
That's UConn, back-to-back champions. Of course, they weren't just going to give up. That's who they are. And Alex Caravan, McNeely, those guys are studs. Like, yeah, that is who they are. Great fight from UConn. But what an answer. What a response in overtime from Memphis.
Yeah.
Who is this team, Kenny?
No, and I think that is like, we're going to spend a lot of time. We're going to go the first 40 minutes. We can talk a lot about it. The Tigers we're going to talk a lot about it. The Tigers played an amazing first 40 minutes, but bro, that response was the response at overtime. I put it in the Discord. I said, that tells me so much about this team, because they had every right. The Tigers had every right to just say, you know what, man, we've played our asses off for 40 minutes. This is the 2-time defending national champion. That's freaking Dan Hurley over there, the clown that he is. They should have just laid down, right? But they didn't, man. And they lost PJ Haggerty in that part. I mean, come on, man. Like, without their best player, they responded. That is unbelievable. Hey, we got Roman Cleary in here. Let me bring him in real quick. Boom. Roman. Did you wake up from a nap, Roman? Did you wake up? He said, what's happening? Nothing. We're just here talking, hanging out, having a good time.
I don't know. Nah, man. Talk about a classic, right? I mean, just outside of the win for Memphis, which is obviously huge. You know, their first top 2 victory over an AP, top 2 team since that infamous Houston game in the AAC championship the season before last.
Right.
But massive, defeating the back-to-back national champions. Like, Memphis is for real. I think we just have to.
You have to admit it.
Acknowledge that before anything else. Memphis is for real. That's my number one takeaway from today.
And they're for real because they play together. They really have bought in to whatever this coaching staff is preaching. They seem fully locked in. They lost PJ Haggerty going into overtime, and they didn't blink. They didn't change anything that they did on offense or on defense. They stayed aggressive. They hit major shots. I mean, this team is for real because they seem to actually like playing with each other and playing for each other as well. That was insane. That was absolutely incredible win.
I said this real quick before we move on. If you're in the comment section, if you're watching this on Twitter and you want to join in on the comment section, head over to YouTube and check out this live show as well. We're in there. We can see everything that's being said. We're gonna put stuff up. Get in there, get your stuff off, man. Have a good time in there. But man, let's celebrate, Tiger fans. That was a crazy game, crazy win.
Absolutely, just insane. So. We got to start somewhere. Let's start at the jump here because we got.
Where do we start? Like, that's the thing, right? Yeah.
I know we got to start somewhere. I think it's not rocket science at this point. Memphis had to start fast if they were going to stay in this game with UConn. They couldn't basically go sleepwalking for the first 10 minutes of a game and give up a massive run like they have in the past. In their 4 wins, they had to start with a lot of energy, and they did. What did y'all see from the Tigers off the rip that really gave y'all confidence moving on?
I mean, the physical defensive intensity, I think, is what first jumps out at you at the start of the game. And that extended to the offensive end as well, because Memphis was relentless in its attack to the rim, forcing foul after foul after foul. Memphis took 14 free throws in the first half compared to just 3 for UConn. Starters like Liam McNeely and Samson Johnson and Solo Ball, they all had to sit out a good portion of that first half because they were all, on the bench with 2 fouls. So, I mean, Memphis's physicality, I think, really gave them an advantage early on, which is why they led for the majority of that first half. But of course, UConn's offensive execution was always going to, win out in that situation at some point.
Yeah.
But Memphis's fight and intensity and just, the willingness to play together, like Francis mentioned earlier, it really, helped them get off to a good start there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was like one of the things that when you are a 2-time defending national champion, when you have an iconic head coach on your sideline, there is this aura that comes into a game with you, especially when you're in Maui, especially when ESPN is covering your game and Jay Billis is all over Dan Hurley's
you know what?
Yeah.
He was all over his Dan Hurley. If you know,
he was all over his Dan Hurley the whole game. Like there's a level.
Did it feel like every single big call that went against UConn, Jay Billis just disagreed with?
He disagreed with every call that went against UConn. Every call.
The over the back, the offensive foul that was clearly an offensive foul. Like
it was the over the back. Hey, guess what, man? He was over his back. He fouled him.
Like, because Carter was flopping like this, and McNeely was right over his shoulder. Like that's an over the back. The last time I saw that. So unless the rule for what an over the back foul is just suddenly changed, that was clearly an over the back foul. So
I mean, yeah, unless the rules completely changed on what an over the back call is, then yes, that was an over the back foul in overtime. But I'll just say that, like, when you come into a game like that, where you have such a team that's number 2 in the country, right? Like, I don't care who you are. You can say you're unbiased as a ref, as a commentator, all that kind of stuff. There are going to be biases that come into those kinds of games where you expect the number 2 team in the nation, the iconic team that they are, the 2-time defending national champion. They're going to come out and they're going to exert their force upon the game, their will upon the game immediately. And so the fast start that, like, one of the things that we talked about prior to the game was you just cannot get off to a slow start against this team because they will bury you if you do. And the Tigers, it might not have looked it in the score in terms of like what the scoreboard looked like, but it was their physicality and the way that they came in. And you could tell this Tigers team was like, we are not going to get punked in the first 5 minutes of this game. We are not. But by the time that the first media timeout at 16 minutes hits, we are going to be still in this game. And in a lot of ways, man, teams like UConn that have that level of aura around them and that level of the number 2 next to their name, their expectation is most teams are just going to come in and just lay down and say, you know what, man, we're good, right? And I would say that some penny teams prior to this team might have. This team did not, and they came out and physically punched UConn in the mouth and said, we're here to stay, and we're not going to go away tonight. We might lose this game, but we're not going away.
Let's be real. Memphis, UConn to UConn. That's what they did. They had physical.
Yes,
they outsmarted UConn. They punched back. They took punches and they punched back. UConn was up 5 with 5:16 left in the first half. 27-32. UConn up 5. And the response from Memphis as soon as UConn went up by 5 was a Tyrese Hunter 3, a PJ Haggerty jumper, and then another Tyrese Hunter 3. It was just they just didn't take anything UConn was doing lying down. They fought back, they punched back. We'll get to overtime in a bit, but you saw the signs.
Dan Hurley is a clown. Dan Hurley is a clown, Jerome. So-called clown, won back-to-back titles. Absolutely, he won. Nobody's taking that away from him. He's a clown.
You could be a clown and a fantastic coach.
He called the ref those refs were more clowns than Dan Hurley, because they let him call them outside of their names multiple times and didn't get a tech until the very end. But hey, Dan, thanks for the tech at the end of the game. Appreciate you, clown. Go ahead. Sorry, Princess.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, just Memphis fought back. They didn't let UConn run away. Even when UConn went up 5, Memphis took all the punches and fought back. And I want to talk about next the 1-2 punch of PJ and Tyrese. They were absolutely immaculate today. They're absolutely incredible. We'll get to player of the game later. But how big is it to have a backcourt? PJ is a sophomore, but Tyrese Hunter is hella experienced. And PJ plays much more mature than just a sophomore. The way he uses his body, he's so smart going to the rim. He draws fouls better than anyone in the country. How important is it to have a backcourt this damn good?
I mean, it's massive, right? I mean, I think it's ultimately what won Memphis this game. We can talk all we want about, the PJ Carter and what he did in overtime, or, what Dane Danger and Musa Cisse have done, defensively in the front court, what Danger's done offensively in the past couple. But at the end of the day, this team lives and dies by its guards. And we saw that here today with how much they leaned on Tyrese Hunter and PJ Haggerty. I mean, you could see, as good of a team UConn is, they clearly had something of a weakness in the backcourt compared to Memphis in this matchup. And Memphis fully exploited that. They were more explosive from the guard spot. You had massive scoring outputs from both Hunter and Haggerty. I mean, Hunter's, especially in the first 12, he scored 17 points on 4 of 5 3-point shooting in the first 12 minutes of the second half. That is insane.
I think UConn scored 20 points in the second half, and Tyrese had 17 by himself on 4 or 5 3-pointers. Yeah, it was wild. Yeah. Let me ask you this. We will stay on the game, but this is a conversation that was being had in the Discord. Is PJ Haggerty the best guard that Penny's ever had?
Oh, it's a bit early to say that right now, but he's on that trajectory.
Jeez.
Yeah,
he's. I mean,
yeah.
Goodness gracious, it's.
I mean, it's either him or Kendrick.
And I said Tyrese is second behind him. Maybe I'm living in the moment right now.
No, Kendrick, no, come on, Kenny. Come on, Kenny. Don't do KD like that. Don't do KD like that. It's PJ or Kendrick. We have to see what happens. Kendrick was so good. He carried Memphis to so many wins that season. Him and DeAndre, they carried him to so many wins. Let's see what the rest of the season looks like. But I'll tell you this. PJ is the craftiest guard I think Penny's ever had. Yeah. He is James Harden-esque, the way he draws fouls. He finds contact. Contact doesn't find him. He'll find the contact and get to the foul line. He's so crafty with the ball in his hand. Yeah, PJ's the man. So let's do this.
King Meeks.
Penny and Colby Rogers have arrived for the pressers, so I will see you.
All right, we're gonna get Roman out of here. Boom, there we go. King Meek said I buy everybody a shot, but I don't have no money like that, and I switch my savings and checkings. Listen, King Meek, it's the thought that counts, my brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Hey, let's win Maui. How about it? Let's go Maui. Let's go win Maui, and let's shut all the people up who thought UConn was going to blow Memphis out the water, and Penny Hardaway is the reason why Memphis is going to lose this game. Blow all those people out. Shut them all up, man. I heard so much BS out there, but yeah, so much BS.
They were, the coaching is going to be what loses this game for Memphis. Man, Penny freaking outcoached Dan Hurley.
Let
me tell you. So I don't know if you saw it, Francis, but I did an interview with a beat writer from UConn, a guy who writes for CT Insider. His name is Dan Borges, and we were talking about the game prior, kind of what to expect. And walking away from it, I came into the game thinking that Memphis's backcourt was going to have some success against this UConn backcourt. I think that there were, Liam McNeely, obviously freshman guy who, highly touted. Aiden how do you say Aiden McHaney? Is it McHaney? Transfer from St. Mary's. Everybody thought he was going to come in and solidify kind of the Cam Spencer role for them last year. It was interesting because, coming in, they said, and I don't think it can be understated how important the first we can call them 4 games, but really 6 games that Memphis has played in exhibition and in the regular season has been for them in terms of their growth and where they're at right now, right? Like
100%.
UConn was 4-0, but had not played a team that was ranked outside of the top 300. They were 300 in Ken Palm, all 4 of those teams.
They played a team full of you and I on the roster.
Right.
That's the type of teams they played against. No question. Yeah.
And so I think that there was a level of one of the things that Dan Borges said was, we still don't know who this UConn team is. And I would say coming into this game, we know who this Tigers team is because they've been tested already, right?
Yeah.
Like we know who they are. We already know the trends that they have in games. We know what actions they like to run. We know what their defensive identity is. Like we know what they are. And that is 4 games into a season, 5 games now, is pretty awesome. And I think that was going to be a successful thing for this team for this game tonight. Anthony Sane, host of the Anthony Sane show on Bluff City Media, is in the. He said Penny outcoached Hurley, and he goes, Tiger fans don't even want to admit it. I don't know. I would hope that Tiger fans would recognize that what the coaching job that Penny is doing, but Penny has leveled up his coaching ability this year. Not even his coaching ability, but just the decisions in game that he's making. He's leveled up on that, Francis.
No question. It's that was my next thing I was going to bring up with you, because on the defensive side of the ball, you mentioned we know who this team is. This team is full of a bunch of dogs on defense that'll put their butt down and guard their yard, as Penny loves to say. That is what this team is full of. UConn, it's going to be hard to go back and find a UConn offensive performance where they looked so disoriented.
Yes.
It'll be really hard. I mean, they've won. They're back-to-back champs. Of course, it'll be hard. But that the point still stands. This is a back-to-back national championship team with an offense that people were praising their offense, how well they cut off the ball, how well they move off of the ball, how precise, how they all know where they should be on the floor at any given time. And today, Kenny, this offense looked lost.
They looked lost.
They looked genuinely lost. Penny did a great job of mixing up defenses, mixing up pressures, when to press, when to sit back, when he orchestrated an amazing defensive game. In the first half, Memphis did a great job of pressuring UConn and getting them into their offense later in the shot clock. And even there were a lot of possessions where UConn, they couldn't even get into a set because Memphis was pressuring them so much. And then in the second half, Kenny, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but I didn't notice a lot of pressing by Penny, especially to start the second half. I was wondering when that was going to start back up. I made a note that I think Penny's going to start pressing again after the under 8 media timeout. I was like, okay, that's when I think he's going to start ramping it up again. They were kind of letting UConn get into their sets on offense for the first 10, 12 minutes of the second half. And I was really wondering when that was going to change. Well, Kenny, they started pressing at about the 6-minute mark. And it was like clockwork that they just ramped up the pressure. That's how they got to that massive lead, up to 12, 13-point lead, because they ramped things up. Shot making also helps from Tyrese Hunter and the offense, but they ramped up the pressure, and it was like clockwork. And then, Memphis, they still haven't been there. UConn's been there. Memphis hasn't been there, and it showed down the stretch. So hence why, UConn came back. UConn's still UConn.
Yeah.
But I really believe Penny Hardaway straight up, straight down, out-coached Dan Hurley. And I thought it was a good chess match too, because Hurley would notice that Penny was switching all screens, off-ball screens, on-ball screens. So Hurley's whole thing was let's take advantage of mismatches. Let's find this big man Reed down low. Let's find the bigs. Let's create mismatches. And when they did that, UConn was able to get great looks. Yeah. But Penny saw that. And Penny then, I'm sure, emphasized in his huddles communicating better, making sure these switches are more on time and on point. Hell, obviously we hate to see that game tying 3. That defensive possession was awesome. He just solo ball, just hit a great shot. It was a good shot. It was a great shot. I mean, great shot. But that defensive possession was beautiful. They switched so well. They took away everything that UConn wanted to do, and it took a frankly Hail Mary fadeaway three from solo ball to send this game to overtime. So it's one of those things. Who's your play of the game, Kenny? Give me your play of the game.
Oh man. Let me bring this up. Player of the game. For me, it's gonna have to be. It's super easy to say Tyrese Hunter, obviously, right?
Sure.
You know, Tyrese. Well, let me look at the box score real quick. 26 points, 2 assists, 1 rebound, only 2 turnovers, and 1 foul in the entire game. Obviously, his shooting is what allowed the Tigers to take that lead in the second half and push it out even further. There was a level of consistency there for him all game, right? Not even just in the 3-point shooting, but just his playmaking ability. You know, he broke was it Diarra down, who's supposed to be a fantastic on-ball defender, broke him down, sent him on skates, and then not a step-back jumper. I mean, just his ability to spread the floor out was necessary for this team. And they, you know, even when there were, you know, like you talked about in those first, 12 minutes of that second half when Penny kind of ramped down the defense a little bit and allowed UConn to get into their sets. And I'll say it that way. Like, he allowed UConn to get into their sets, because the entire, 20 minutes prior to that, UConn was 10 seconds left in the clock trying to figure out how to get the ball, to their first pass on their, on their sets. But Tyrese's, when UConn was allowed to get into their sets and make a little bit of a push offensively, there was Tyrese Hunter constantly there, making the big shots, keeping the score, at or extending it out. He just did a great job in that regard. So Tyrese is probably going to be my player of the game. But I will say this, man, Musa played a hell of a game today. Musa played a hell of a game.
Quiet but impactful, no question.
A quietly impactful defensive game. There was in the Discord, I think there was a play, and I can't remember how early into the game it was. But Musa challenged a shot at the rim. UConn got the ball. I think Caravan took it up for a offensive rebound putback, and Musa blocked it, but it was goaltending. And my response to that was, great job, Musa. Who cares about the goaltending right now? Let your presence be known. You're there, right? Like, you are not going to get good shots off against me. Nothing's easy in the paint. And so I feel like Musa's paint presence on defense was a game changer for the Tigers defense today. I really think it really did a major impact. But I'll give it to Tyrese. Tyrese played a fantastic game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Tyrese Hunter is my player of the game. You already waxed poetic about why Tyrese is, so I don't need to harp on it too much. He was fantastic. Certified bucket, shot maker, and defended insanely well. We talked about Tyrese's his breakout game was against Ohio. This is his breakout game. To do this against UConn.
Yeah.
To put on that offensive performance, to be an absolute pest on defense. His ball denial tonight was second to none. That's, like you said, he's why UConn couldn't get into any rhythm in the half court, because he just was incredible with his ball denial. They just didn't get into the sets, as you mentioned. So yeah, Tyrese, player of the game for me. To elaborate more on Musa and Danger too. Shout out to Danger, 14 points, 5 boards, 1 assist tonight. Danger's footwork is awesome, and he uses his body. He's so crafty with how he finishes. It's so great to have bigs, including Nick Jourdain. Jourdain didn't have his best game.
He had a tough game. Nick Jourdain had a tough game today.
Yeah, Jourdain had a tough game. But to have bigs in general, so that includes Jourdain, who play with such high motor, is huge for this defense. Huge for this defense. I don't want to. I'll just say his name. There's a Jordan Brown ring a bell last year for his lack of motor on both sides of the ball. That's not a problem. Musa may not be the most talented big man I've ever seen. He's definitely not the most talented big, but he plays his tail off. Yes. He plays hard. He fights on the defensive glass. He'll second effort, third effort, fourth effort on blocks, contesting at the rim. He'll even switch. Musa switched on guards, and he played really solid perimeter defense. He's so big, but he shuffled his feet really well and was holding his own on the perimeter as well. Yeah, Moose was great. Memphis had to play a damn near perfect game to beat UConn, and they played a damn near perfect game.
A great game. Yeah,
this was awesome.
We got some UConn fans in here in the comment section, and my guy Exile, nice ghost over the back on McNeely, and a nice ghost foul on Reed contesting a three. Yeah, those two plays absolutely lost y'all the game. Yeah, I mean that it wasn't getting smacked in the mouth for 40 minutes. And hey, I mean it was coming back. I mean, hitting the solo ball three was awesome, but come on, man. Like McNeely was over his back. Every big was fouling every time they got down the floor, even on the Tiger side. We just so happened to be doing it while y'all happened to be fouling the Tigers while we were shooting. So yeah, plus 16 free throws, man. That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, and shout out to the Tigers too for hitting their free throws. PJ Carter down the stretch, 6 for 6. Are you kidding me, dude? He barely played in this game, and he is stone cold from the line in overtime.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh, come on, that is awesome. He's a big OT too.
I was gonna say, like, Tyrese, obviously, man, those first 40 minutes played a hell of a game, did what he did. But the stones on PJ Carter to come in after having not played at all in that first 40 minutes, to come in, get a big 3-point bucket, get 4. Did he hit a layup or something? I think he might have hit a layup and then hit 4 free throws in the overtime. I mean, come on, man. Like,
I had him at 6 free throws is what I had written down. Maybe I'm wrong, but he hit a lot in a row. We'll put it that way.
Played great. We got NK in here. UConn is back-to-back chance, and some of them are in here crying about calls. Have some pride, UConn. Hey, listen, it's hard to not complain if you're a UConn fan when your coach screams about everything. That man, listen, I got a lot of respect for Dan Hurley's, his resume, but Jesus Christ, you're a clown on the court. He is a absolute clown on the sideline. If my father and my sisters weren't watching this right now, I would say some of the things that he was screaming at those refs on the court, and it was absurd.
Ooh.
Absurd.
Yeah, it took way too long to tech him up.
Man,
way too long. Holy moly!
Yeah, man.
Way too long.
What was your moment of the game?
I mean, shoosh, how do I choose? There's just so many. Yeah, how about this? My moment of the game in overtime was that PJ Carter 3.
Yeah.
That kept Memphis within touching distance. I'm trying to find it in my notes. Give me 1 second. Yeah, it was solo ball hit a deep 3, made it 86-90 UConn.
Yeah.
And then PJ Carter hits a 3, contested 3, hand in his face, all up in his grill. And if PJ misses that shot, that might be game over. He knocks that shot down with a hand in his face. It's now a 1-point game. And yeah, Carabin goes down the court and then hits a layup, but then Colby Rogers answered with a 3.
Right.
I mean, so that PJ Carter 3, the Colby Rogers 3, those are the moments of the game for me.
Yeah, I think if you look at the timeline of how it went down, I think it was Colby's 3. Colby hit a jumper at the free throw line, and then PJ hit a 3 to bring it back to 4, or bring it back to 1-point possession. Those were the moments. I mean, there were so many of them. It's hard to say this is the moment of the game, because there were plenty of moments where the Tigers could have just let go of the rope, and I think that is what is pretty fantastic about this team, is that this team very clearly does not have any desire to let go of the rope when most teams would, right? Like UConn goes up by 4 in overtime. They should absolutely, like most teams would be like, yeah, this is over, right? Like we're done. We're going to let go of it and take a wild shot. And we might be, if PJ hadn't hit that 3-pointer, we might be saying that was a wild shot that he shouldn't have taken. But it was a timely, big stones shot that was just I think it really did swing the momentum. But I do think the momentum was shifted finally by Dan Hurley's tech. I think him getting a tech.
That tech changed the game. It was over at that point. For PJ to hit those free throws after that tech, all Memphis had to do was hit free throws after that, and they did. Obviously, again, credit to Memphis for that. But yeah, that changed that changed everything. That Dan Hurley tech. So yeah.
There was just there was so much to this game that it's hard to like remember back in like the first half, unless you took notes, which unfortunately I did not. I could probably go back and look at my Discord comments and go nuts. But yeah, man, just overall a fantastic game, man. Tigers are now 5-0 on the year. They are still. What did they do? Let me look at the box score real quick. They shot 12 of 22 from the 3-point line, 54.5%. They shot over 50. They almost shot 55% from the floor for the night. 29 of 40 free throws, 72.5%. Just as crazy. Let me ask you this, man. Like, everybody laughed a few weeks ago or about a week ago when the Tigers were number 1 in the country in 3-point shooting. Right.
Yeah.
What is this team a good shooting team? Francis, are they a good shooting team?
I was going to ask you the same question, Kenny. So you took the question out of my mouth. It's at this point you got to say yes, right? I don't think you can just say no to that question. I think they are a good 3-point shooting team. Colby Rogers is as advertised from deep.
Yeah.
PJ Carter is also as advertised from deep.
Yeah.
PJ, he didn't. How many threes did PJ make? Let me check the box score. 1 for 4. Okay. Haggerty was 1 for 4 from 3 tonight. So, but he still hit a big step back in the second half that looked nasty. That step back was cold-blooded.
Yes, but it was.
Tyrese Hunter, he's been hot from 3 over the past 3 games. He's been absolutely on fire. So I think I'll put it to you this way. I think they are a good 3-point shooting team. Are they going to continue to shoot 55%? Absolutely not. But I do think you can say definitively that they are a good 3-point shooting team that if they have open looks, they're going to make them. I mean, yes, some of these looks were ISO ball looks, but Kenny, they're open.
Yeah.
They're open. Tyrese Hunter is great at creating space. PJ Haggerty, great at creating space. Colby Rogers is a great mover off the ball to find space off the ball. So if they're open, why not let it fly? And at this rate, I'm willing to say they're a good 3-point shooting team, which goes against everything everyone thought. Everyone thought entering this year. Everybody.
Yeah. I mean, the whole idea of it was PJ Haggerty couldn't shoot. He was just an elite. And what was he against Ohio? Was he like 5 of 7 or 4 or 5 or something like that? Like, I mean, just these guys are I think the thing that makes me think that it's not an aberration, that they're actually a really good shooting team, is that a lot of their stuff comes in the flow of the offense, right? Like a lot of their stuff comes from Penny talked about it in a press conference a few weeks ago. He talked about it being about paint touches, right? Or he called them paint decisions. And that's one of the things that he's been working on with the team is getting better at their paint decisions. So getting the ball to the paint, whether it's passing to the high post to the big, or PJ or Tyrese breaking somebody down at the top of the key and then going into the paint, passing it out to your shooters, right? Because they do have good shooters on this team.
They do.
The thing about college basketball that's so unique is that there are a lot of good shooters out there, but a lot of times college basketball is just such a tough, like the way that defenses are able to. It's so compact.
It's so compact and clogged. It's hard to show your 3-point shooting prowess.
Right, 100%. And so I think that's one of the things that makes me think that this is their shots are coming out of really good offensive sets. And we talked about this, I think, a few shows ago after one of the games, that these Tigers get really good shots out of their offense. They take good shots. If they fall, they fall. If they don't, I'm okay with it. There was a game, even the Missouri game, right? The first game of the season, or second game of the season? First game of the season.
Yeah.
They were down by, I think, double digits at halftime. And someone was asking me at the game, they said, what do you think is the Tigers offense just really that bad? And I said, no, they're getting really good shots. Like, they're actually getting good shots. They're just not going in. And what we've seen in the past is the Tigers are better in the second half of making those shots, of making those adjustments, of making some in-game halftime adjustments and coming out and executing at a high level. Today, they executed the entire game.
Yeah.
They made a lot of shots the entire game.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole game, like I said, they had to play damn near perfect to win, and they played damn near perfect. I want to highlight this comment from boy Timo. Memphis looks great against the zone. We have respectable shooters, and we know what to do in it when it's thrown against us. Timo, I think that's an awesome point. I've said this on this show before, and it's been what's really caught my eye over these 5 games now is how well Memphis has executed against zones. Kenny, is this the same team?
No,
as this year? They're not, because last year they couldn't do anything against a zone. Like, a team would play a zone and they would look lost. They had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
This year is the exact opposite. I think they're better against the zone than against the man defense because they are better at passing, better getting the ball in the middle of a zone. They spot up shooters in the corner against the 1-3-1. They're better with they're just more crisp with everything they do. And they're shooting teams out of zones, not just because they're taking a lot of threes, but they're getting really good looks.
Yeah.
Really good looks against the zone.
Well, one of the ways that they've been doing it, and this is different from previous Penny teams, is they understand how to attack zones more than they have in the past.
Yeah.
You get teams out of zone defenses by attacking the weak pressure points of a zone defense, not just by outshooting them. You just don't outshoot a zone defense, right? Because most of the time in college basketball in particular, you want a team to shoot from long range than you do from around the rim. Like, that's just because there's just better shooters. There's just not as many good shooters in college basketball as there are in, say, like the NBA, right? Like, they're just better shooters in the NBA, obviously. But the thing that the Tigers do that breaks apart those zones is they put extreme pressure on the zone's weak points to the point where the team that is in that zone is like, we have to get out of this because they're exploiting these weak spots, and they exploit it by intentional drives to the basket, timely cuts, really good passing. That's how they're exploiting this. And so they are getting wide open 3-point shots because they are attacking by passing, attacking by cutting, attacking by hard dribbles to the basket. And let's be frank about it, man. PJ Haggerty is probably the best guard in college basketball at attacking pressure points on defenses and getting to the rim, getting foul calls, and getting those really good passes out to the wings. So that's what they're doing, and it's not rocket science, but that's what this team has that other Penny teams have not.
Yeah, 100%. I've talked about this a lot, and just when I talk about basketball, what I love is when lineups have pressure release valves. As you said, it's finding the weak points to release the pressure of a defense.
Yes.
And Memphis has a lot of that. When they attack a zone, like you said, they find weak spots. They have lob threats in Musa Cisse. They have a guy who can give a paint touch on a one-on-one in the post in danger, and he's going to score 2 points. You have shooters around on the perimeter. This offense, man, I don't want to get up too above myself. I don't want to get too hyperbolic, but this offense looks like it's totally different from last year in the best way possible. That's great performance by Memphis. We're going to talk a lot more about this game, talk a lot more about looking ahead. This Maui Invitational is not over. Memphis is in the winner's bracket.
Yes.
The winner's bracket of the Maui Invitational. They have a chance. If they win tomorrow, they could be in the final on Wednesday. So, we got a lot of excitement here. Shout out to everybody for being in the comments.
And when we come back, we're going to close out this show. Francis and I are going to talk about where are the Tigers ranked next week. We want to talk about that, and I'd love to get your input in the comment section. Where do you think the Tigers are going to be ranked? And the other question is do you care where they're ranked? So let's talk about that. When we come back, we'll do a real quick commercial break, come back and talk about those two things.
In a vacuum, 3 games in, Ohio, Missouri, and UNLV. How high is the ceiling for this team? If they continue to grow, mature, become better and better every night, how good can this team be this season?
AAC regular season title is absolutely on the table. I think tournament, we'll see what their matchup looks like, how high of a seed they can get, but I think they could win a game in the tournament potentially. We're way off from that. But what I got to be honest with you, dude. Like, here's my truth. I really like this team. Yeah. I really like this team. I like this team. I really do. They're bought in. Is it the most fun style of basketball? Absolutely not. But is it winning basketball? 100% yes. Like
which I would argue is the most fun style of basketball.
Yes, 100%.
Tune into On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
The game, Santi Aldama, 28. He was good. I mean, he was hitting shots when the team couldn't hit shots.
We just need consistency. There's no question with Santi on, like, does he have the skill or can he do it? We saw what he did internationally with Team Spain, so you know that is there. We've seen it this year in the first game of the year.
It's those 4-point games.
Yeah, there are too many of those. Yeah. And for someone to have the abilities that he has and is going to play the minutes that he's going to play, you don't want to have to be like it's tonight the night that he's up here or it's tonight the night he's down here. You kind of just want to be like it's the night that he's going to be here with the ability to go there.
Yeah.
And then, but it'll be back here. I think just getting him to be able to be there is good because there's no denying his talent. And what you said, he was the only reason why the Grizzlies stayed in the game against Denver this last game.
Tune in to the Night Court Podcast with your hosts, Rob Fisher and Brevin Knight, on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
We are back.
We are back. We are back. I was Kenny, I'm a superstitious guy. I'm not even gonna say I'm a little stitious. I definitely
what is your big superstition?
So what I can't wear any merch of the team on game day. I can't wear Memphis Tigers stuff,
right?
Or else I feel like I'm gonna jinx it. Like I'm wearing like a baby blue. This is the most Hawaiian shirt I own, Kenny.
Yeah,
this
man.
is it right here.
Yeah,
it's hard to see on camera, but anywho, I as soon as Solo Ball hit that 3, I didn't say anything on social media. I didn't say anything in the Discord. I was dead silent. I was like, all right, I'm not talking to nobody.
Nope.
I ain't talking to y'all. I ain't saying nothing. I'm going to take my notes. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to watch this game play out. And I'm not going to say anything anywhere because I'm just going to be quiet.
Yeah, man.
What's dead silent. I'm the guy who also will, if I'm sitting a certain way, like if I'm just watching a game normally, if I'm sitting a certain way, I'll get up, change my seating. I'll move the remote or I'll get a different drink. Like I'm definitely that. I'm definitely that type of guy. So thankfully, whatever in the ether was put out there, thankfully, let's pull this one out. 99 to 97. So Kenny, you want to talk ranking or do you want to look ahead first? Which one you want to do?
Let's do this. There's a few comments that are in the comment section I want to highlight real quick. We were talking about kind of the Tigers offense and their work against the zone, the 3-point shooting, all that kind of stuff. Carlos Smith said this. He said smart, patient guards and a big man that can pass. Man, that last part, a big man that can pass, I think is low key like one of the biggest developments for this Tiger team. I know that their Tiger fans are like, Dane Danger, stop passing the ball to Musa Cisse. But let me tell you, man, his willingness to pass and the way that he keeps his eyes up, his ability to pass out of the post opens up so much for this Tigers team on the offensive side of the floor. And so, yes, I agree. Dane Danger's ability to pass. Now, Musa makes passes. They look like a baby deer that got hit by a car and like is throwing, like, it doesn't look great. It's effective, but Dane's ability to pass, and obviously Nick Jourdain's ability to pass has been low key something that I've really paid attention to in terms of why their offense looks so good this early in the season. Let's get to Maui. Let's talk Maui first before we do this, because like our guy Timo says, let's just get through Maui first. Let's talk about Maui. So right now, let me look at I think it's Colorado and Michigan State are playing right now, and the Tigers will play the winner of that game. So what are your thoughts, man? Like, big question that I have. Tigers played 8 players today. A very small rotation. Obviously, they rely heavily on their starters plus Dane off the bench. Can the Tigers recover in less than 24 hours to be successful? I mean, they gave everything in this game.
Everything. Yeah, it was my thought process for how are they going to manage 3 games in 3 days in Maui was beat UConn first, and then the rest will be figured out by the coaching staff, by the medical team. These are professionals, Kenny. They can do this. They can manage the team. From my perspective, just beat UConn first. I don't care what it takes. Just beat UConn.
That is me, man. Like, I'm sitting here going, hey, man, y'all can get blown out by Michigan State. I don't care.
I don't care. UConn. First of all, Michigan State's a solid team. It's Tom Izzo led. They're always going to be solid. I know that they're returning. There's some roster turnover, just like every team in the country, but it's still Tom Izzo led. They're going to be well coached. They're going to fight hard on the boards. Yeah. They got a lot of talent. That's a good basketball team. Colorado is a different story. They're undefeated, yes, but they're definitely one of the weaker teams in Maui. Yeah. Bart Torvik has them at 106 in the country. They struggled a lot in the transfer portal. They got the NAIA Player of the Year. Yeah, he's been pretty good for Colorado so far, but they've been really digging deep in the transfer portal to build a roster of Colorado. But hey, undefeated. I don't know the score of the game. I have no idea.
Right now, Michigan State's up. Michigan State is up 19-17 with 11 minutes left in the first half.
Okay, so that's another tight game. Could point flip right now. But I think either way, whoever Memphis faces,
right,
like Michigan State or whether it's Colorado, I think they'll have them ready to go. Yes, massive win to beat UConn, and they gave it their all. It was an emotional roller coaster, the highest highs, the lowest lows when Solo Ball hit that 3. But I think that's part of what makes the team, hopefully, Kenny, special. They have a mentality that we haven't seen since they've won an AAC championship and beat Houston. We haven't seen this mentality from a Penny Hardaway led squad. They seem to really believe, to lock in, and I think that I'm not worried. I understand why people would be worried. You know better than I do, Kenny, the injuries that's happened with PJ Haggerty and Tyrese Hunter, what's going on behind the scenes, but they look pretty damn good out there today. And I'm sure whatever they're doing to manage their injuries, hopefully they keep working and they can pull out another win tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that thankfully the Tigers don't treat games like Tiger fans do, like we do, right? Like they're locked in. They're there on business. Penny said it multiple times earlier this week. He said, this is a business trip, man. Like they even had that same kind of idea around going to San Francisco. They scheduled that San Francisco game to get them ready for Maui. Penny has said that multiple times. They were given the opportunity to go and they were to be hosted by Draymond Green and the Golden State Warriors while they were in San Francisco. They went to that game, but I know for a fact that there was a lot of decision making around, man, should we do this? Is a business trip. Like, that's what they're here for. And so I can guarantee you right now, every one of those players are getting treatment. They're getting, food. They're getting the proper amount of rest. They're going to be ready for whoever they play tomorrow in the semifinals of the Maui Invitational. I think obviously them walking away from Maui with a win over UConn is pretty much the cake for me. It's now the icing on top of it. Like, what do we do with it now? So I think they're going to be fine. It'll be interesting to see if there's any kind of adjustments made by the coaching staff to kind of, protect the legs of the players, to protect, especially, Penny has talked about consistently, PJ Haggerty and Tyrese Hunter's injuries that they experienced against in the Missouri game that has kept them out of practice. I mean, that's what's wild about this, man, is that since the Missouri game, Tyrese and PJ haven't actively practiced consistently because of their injuries. And so they're doing this without the proper preparation, if you will. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Go ahead.
Yeah, this bracket too. First of all, it's confusing just to look at this bracket.
Yeah, dude.
But they obviously have the first game today. Tomorrow they have the second game, and it definitely benefits Memphis to be the first game of the Maui Invitational, and then to have all of today to rest up.
Yeah.
And they get the morning tomorrow to recover a little bit extra. They have the second game tomorrow at what time is this?
It's 1 o'clock Central Time.
Okay. Yeah. So
no. 12 o'clock
noon.
Central.
Yeah, noon.
12 o'clock Central Time. Yep.
Right. So they still have that time to get their bodies right, hopefully, and be ready for whoever they face. So that's a positive. That's a small positive. But I think looking ahead, I think you'd prefer to play Colorado.
Yeah, I would say so.
But even then, both are going to be important matchups.
If you're Penny Hardaway, he's probably looking at it saying, "Give us Michigan State."
Shoot, yeah, for real. Give me Tom Izzo. I don't think Penny's faced Michigan.
I don't
State.
think he's played Tom Izzo. I don't think he's coached against Tom Izzo yet.
No, but that would be a fun one. I mean, he outcoached Dan Hurley. I think
he outcoached.
Say that 100%. He outcoached Dan Hurley. If he can go outcoach Tom Izzo, that would be great. And say, hey, Kenny, think about this: Memphis Auburn in the final. It's Memphis Auburn. Can he outcoach Bruce Pearl? So he goes Dan Hurley, Izzo, and Bruce Pearl. Kenny, dude, if that happens, I'm going to be up here. It's going to be so hard to bring me back down. I'm up here, man. Like that's, come on. Yeah. Don't get me going.
I think Penny has talked about this. The media has talked about this. We over here at Bluff City Media have talked about it a lot, that this team reminds us a lot of that 2022 team with our 2021 team with Kendrick and DeAndre, that makeup of the team. And I would say the makeup, yes. And I think that this is where we need to kind of take our expectations a little bit higher, maybe, than what that team, the expectations, because this team has proven that they're ready for this. They're ready for this moment. And so I have no doubt that Penny will have those guys ready to play. And it'll be interesting to see, man, what happens. I just love, I love this time of the year. I love all the basketball that's on TV. Someone in the comment section, I didn't highlight it, but someone in the comment section said Memphis is way up. Memphis beat UConn today, and Ja Morant is back tonight. Like, come on,
right.
man.
That's right.
Come on, man. What are we talking about? Do we want to? Can we pull an audible here and just not talk about rankings? I don't care.
No, I don't. That was going to be my response to your question. I really don't care. I mean, I really don't care. They could lose. They could theoretically lose the next two games, and I still think they should be ranked in the top 25. And if they're not, whatever. Whatever.
Who cares?
Just whatever. This is a damn good team that seems to be playing, how to say this properly, because I don't want to say that they're not peaking too early, but you can see the progress. How about that, Kenny?
Yeah.
You can see the progress game by game. And the hope is that they can keep getting better. Last year, they peaked early, as we all know. Now, hopefully this year, it's not a repeat where they peak early again, but at the very least, you can see the real progress from game one. Hell, even the preseason games, all up until now, they've gotten better each game. And of course, they've got a plateau at some point, but I think there's enough evidence that there's enough evidence to show a reason for hope.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with NK here. Let's appreciate and enjoy this win. Don't care about rankings. I'm in agreement with you. I don't care. I think that the thing that you talked about last year and just the peaking that this team had, let's not forget they got to the top 10 rankings early on in the non-conference schedule. They beat Michigan in the Bahamas, and they came out and beat Arkansas the very next game. Turns out beat Texas A&M. Turns out Michigan, Missouri, Arkansas were not very good last year, which is fine. I have a feeling this UConn team will be there. They're going to be a good team the entire year. I think the thing for me that's different from last year to this year is the things that you see from the Tigers are a repeatable identity that they have already. They have a repeatable identity that will be able to be carried on throughout the rest of this non-conference schedule and into the AAC, conference schedule. So, I mean, listen, bro, we could be UAB right now. Honestly. We could be UAB.
That's a cursed team right now, man. That team is.
Hey, they came back in the 7th place game of the Puerto Rico dumpster challenge and beat some team.
Oh my God! Golly, that
could be UAB.
That team is in shambles right now.
Yeah.
So it could be a lot worse. Kenny, what a win for real, top to bottom, just absolutely incredible win. But its job's not done, as the late great Kobe Bryant said. Job's not finished. They still got 2 more games. They got hopefully Michigan State or Colorado. Not hopefully, they will get Michigan State or Colorado tomorrow, and then let's see who they face in the final if they make it to the final. But still, lots of work to do. Kenny, you're the man. Thanks so much for talking hoops with me. I know I'll probably see you tomorrow. We'll have Matt Infield here on the show.
Oh, is Matt going to be with us?
That's right. We got Matt Infield tomorrow. And
Matt Infield's my guy. WMC Channel 5 sports reporter, the best in the city, man. That man's my guy, man. Matt Infield. So
that's right.
Forward to having him on.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to talk hoops with him.
I might talk trash to him a little bit, to be honest with you. That old bum. He's a Jets fan, so I got to talk a little trash. Yeah, it's rough. Nice. Rough go for Matt Infield.
That's tough. Oh my gosh. Yeah, sorry. I'll try. I'll bring that up at some point too.
Let's bring that up. Yeah,
I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up. But Kenny, any last thoughts before we get out of here?
No last thoughts, man. Good win by the Tigers, 99-97. Great win. Francis, great job today, man. This was a lot of fun.
Always, brother. All right, y'all. Until next time, I'm Francis Carlotta. That's Kenny Stubblefield. Join us here tomorrow after Memphis' semifinal game. Join us right here on Tigers Live. Until next time, peace.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Tigers Live. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of all things Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back here next time.